The Supreme Court chamber fell silent as Justice Amy Coney Barrett delivered the unanimous ruling. No one realized her words would accidentally place a $27 million fine on Elon Musk's newest AI company, the tech billionaire Saturday in the back row, his expression hidden behind steepled fingers. What happened next shocked everyone. As Barrett finished reading, Musk stood up, pulled out his phone, and typed something. Within seconds, every phone in the courtroom buzzed. The justices looked up in confusion as officials reached for their devices. On each screen appeared the same message from Musk: "Challenge accepted. See you Monday." With those 4 words, Musk set in motion a confrontation that would redefine the relationship between technology, free speech, and government regulation forever. The players, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, appointed to the Supreme Court in 2020, had built her reputation as a meticulous constitutional originalist. At 52, she was known for precise legal reasoning and surprising alliances across ideological lines. The case seemed straightforward, determining whether AI-generated content fell under existing speech regulations. What Barrett didn't realize was that her careful ruling contained language that accidentally triggered an obscure regulatory statute from 1934, resulting in an automatic fine against Musk's company, Neural Systems. Elon Musk had built his latest empire on the promise of truly free AI speech. After transforming multiple social media platforms, he had invested billions in Neural Systems, publicly vowing it would operate beyond government censorship. He specifically chose this case as his battleground, but hadn't anticipated financial penalties. The stakes were enormous for Barrett and the court. Their authority to regulate emerging technologies hung in the balance. For Musk, being the fine pocket change for the world's richest man, this represented an existential threat to his vision of AI development without government oversight. For everyday Americans, the outcome would determine who controlled the most powerful communication technologies of the future: government regulators or private tech billionaires. The countdown begins. Washington expected Musk to file appeals or launch a social media pressure campaign. Nobody anticipated his actual plan. Just hours after the ruling, Musk went live to 147 million viewers. Today, 9 unelected judges who can barely use smartphones decided they should control the future of artificial intelligence. "I'm not paying their fine, and on Monday, I'll show America why." The cryptic statement sent shockwaves through Washington. Press Secretary Dana Williams faced intense questioning. The administration expects all citizens, including billionaires, to comply with Supreme Court rulings. When pressed about what Musk might be planning, she replied tensely, "Your guess is as good as mine." Meanwhile, Barrett faced unexpected scrutiny. Conservative commentators questioned the ruling, while liberal networks seemed to turn criticizing Musk's defiance, while acknowledging concerns about government overreach. By Saturday, a leaked document revealed Musk had redirected massive computing resources to a project codenamed Barrett Override. Legal experts debated whether this constituted contempt of court. Barrett made a rare public statement. "The court's ruling speaks for itself. We expect compliance from all parties." Her brevity only fueled speculation. Sunday brought another shock. Neural Systems headquarters suddenly displayed an enormous digital countdown clock ticking down to Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern, the exact time the Supreme Court would reconvene. Inside the White House, emergency meetings continued through the weekend. A staffer leaked that the president had tried calling Musk directly, only to receive an automated response. Currently busy changing the future. Please try again after Monday. Monday showdown. Monday morning arrived with unprecedented public attention. The Supreme Court's live stream crashed repeatedly as millions tried to watch. Outside Neural Systems in Austin, thousands gathered, divided by police barriers. "I've been here since 4 a.m., said Jennifer Lawson, a software engineer holding a code court sigh. "This isn't just about Musk or Barrett, it's about whether 21st century technology be governed by 18th century thinking." Across the barrier, Michael Kingsley, a constitutional law professor, held his own sign. "Supreme Court supremacy, not tech tyranny," he told CNN. "The day we allow billionaires to override our highest court is the day our constitutional system begins to collapse." Inside the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Roberts had called an emergency meeting. "Whatever happens," he told the justices, "we must present a unified front. This is potentially the most significant challenge to the court's authority in the modern era." At precisely 9 a.m., as the justices took their seats, every screen at Neural Systems headquarters lit up with Elon Musk's face. Simultaneously, he appeared on streams across his social platforms, reaching over 200 million viewers instantly, a larger audience than any presidential address in history. "Good morning, America," Musk began calmly, dressed in a simple black t-shirt against a white background. "Today I'm responding to Judge Barrett's ruling not with lawyers, but with what I know best, technology." He gestured, and the screen split to show the Supreme Court chamber. The justices visibly tensed, realizing they were being broadcast as part of Musk's presentation without their consent. Barrett's expression remained carefully neutral, though she sat her day straighter, eyes fixed directly on the camera. "Instead of fighting this $27 million fine, I'd done something better with that money," Musk continued. "I've created this, the masterstroke." The screen displayed a sophisticated AI interface, labeled Constitutional Analysis Engine. Its sleek design pulsed with activity as it processed documents in real time. "This system has been trained on every Supreme Court decision, every constitutional analysis, every legal precedent in American history, over 34 terabytes of legal data. It can find inconsistencies, identify unintended consequences, and propose solutions all in seconds, not months." Musk clicked something off-screen, and the display changed to show complex legal documentation with highlighted sections. Judge Barrett's ruling contains 17 direct conflicts with prior decisions and triggers for laws the court didn't intend. "I've submitted all documentation to every major law school and media outlet simultaneously." For example, Musk continued, "The court's citation of Section 47(3)(b) of the Communications Act directly contradicts its own ruling in NetChoice v. Paxton from 2023, where the court determined that algorithm-based content creation constitutes protected speech." Legal commentators began rapid analysis on major networks. Former Solicitor General Paul Clement appeared on Fox News. "What Musk is doing is unprecedented. He's essentially fact-checking the Supreme Court in real time with technology that processes legal information faster than any human possibly could. But here's the real challenge for the court," Musk continued, his voice gaining momentum. "I'm not just paying the $27 million fine. I'm donating $270 million 10 times the amount to establish constitutional AI research centers at law schools across America, where this technology will be freely available to citizens challenging government overreach." The announcement sent shockwaves through the chamber. Public feeds show Musk move trending instantly, with sentiment analysis showing 63% public support. These centers will open at Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Howard, Chicago, and Texas law schools next month, with 15 more universities joining by the end of the year. Every American, regardless of wealth or connections, will have access to Supreme Court-level legal analysis that previously required teams of expensive attorneys. Outside Neural Systems headquarters, the crowd erupted into cheers. A young law student interviewed Liv could barely contain her excitement. "This changes everything. My student loans won't buy me exclusive access to legal knowledge anymore. It democratizes the entire system." Musk delivered his final move, and finally, to demonstrate my respect for the court while protecting innovation, Neural Systems is restructuring. As of 8:59 this morning, we've created an open-source foundation that puts our core AI technology beyond any single government's control, including ours. He pulled up documents showing the legal restructuring, timestamps visible, proving the change had already been executed moments before the court session began. The constitutional engine code is now maintained by a global, decentralized network of developers across 51 countries. The US government can regulate neural systems, but the technology itself now belongs to humanity. He looked directly at the camera, seemingly addressing Barrett personally. "You can regulate companies, Your Honor, but you can't regulate ideas once they belong to everyone. The constitutional principles you've sworn to protect are now more accessible to the citizens. Those principles were designed to serve." The masterstroke became clear. Musk had complied with the letter of the ruling, while completely undermining its effect. He hadn't fought the court. He'd rendered their approach obsolete with a single move, and by publicly funding constitutional analysis tools for ordinary citizens, he positioned himself not as a defiant billionaire, but as a champion of democratic access to justice. Constitutional scholar Akil Reed Maher appeared on MSNBC. "This is the legal equivalent of a chess grandmaster's surprise move." Barrett thought she was applying a regulatory trick, but Musk converted it into a position that fundamentally changes the game. The response: Barrett faced an impossible position, challenged Musk further, and appeared to be fighting transparency and access to justice, or accept his compliance and watch her ruling's intended regulatory framework dissolve. The court chamber remained silent for 30 agonizing seconds, an eternity in live broadcast time. The justices exchanged glances but no words. Millions watched, wondering if the court would call a recess, or possibly hold Musk in contempt. After the tense silence, Barrett spoke, her voice steady. "The court acknowledges Mr. Musk's payment of the assessed penalty. Regarding these other announcements, we will review their legal implications appropriately," Chief Justice Roberts added. "This court has always supported informed civic participation. However, we remind all parties that the Constitution assigns the judicial power to the courts, not to private enterprises or technologies. We will address these developments fully in due course." The aftermath. As the session continued with other business, the public narrative was already forming. A viral post captured the moment perfectly. Barrett tried to make Musk pay. Instead, she made him into the person who forever changed how Americans access justice. Within hours, Barrett backfire and Musk masterclass competed for trending positions. Law schools reported being overwhelmed with inquiries about the constitutional AI research centers. Neural Systems stock initially plunged 17%, then skyrocketed to close 31% higher as investors recognize the brilliant strategic move. This is the most consequential legal technology development since LexisNexis, declared Stanford Law Dean Jennifer Martinez in an emergency faculty meeting live-streamed to 40,000 viewers. We need to completely rethink our curriculum. On Capitol Hill, Senator Josh Hawley called an impromptu press conference. I've criticized big tech consistently, but democratizing constitutional analysis is something conservatives should embrace. The founders intended ordinary citizens to understand their rights, not just rely on elites. Progressive Senator Elizabeth Warren found herself expressing caution. While improved access to legal information has clear benefits, we must ensure Mr. Musk's system doesn't merely encode existing biases or serve as a shield for corporate interests. Barrett found herself in an unprecedented position. Conservative legal scholars published analysis supporting her original ruling, but acknowledging the unintended consequences. Liberal activists traditionally opposed to Barrett's jurisprudence found themselves uncomfortably aligned with Musk's open-source approach. Cable news coverage was relentless. Tucker Carlson declared, "Tonight, a billionaire did more to empower ordinary Americans against the deep state than all of Washington has done in decades." Rachel Maddow countered, "The question isn't whether legal AI is good or bad, but who controls it and for what ends." The White House struggled to formulate a coherent response as the situation crossed traditional political boundaries. According to a West Wing staffer, half the room saw this as a dangerous precedent of a billionaire circumventing government authority. The other half argued we should embrace any technology that helps citizens understand their constitutional rights. The new era. 5 days after the confrontation, Barrett made her first public appearance at a judicial conference in Chicago. When asked about the Musk situation, she surprised observers with her candor. The court's role is to interpret law as written, not to predict all technological implications. If our ruling inadvertently advanced public access to constitutional analysis, that outcome serves democracy, even if not in ways we anticipated. The statement was widely interpreted as Barrett's attempt to reframe the narrative, claiming the democratization of legal AI as a positive outcome, rather than Musk's end-run around regulation. The Constitution doesn't belong to the court, it belongs to the American people. If technology makes its principles more accessible to ordinary citizens, that aligns with the founders' vision of informed civic participation. Meanwhile, Musk's constitutional AI system produced its first major impact 2 weeks later, identifying a previously unnoticed conflict in federal environmental regulations that had stalled renewable energy projects for years. When the Environmental Protection Agency quickly issued clarifications, public approval for the system soared to 78%. The practical implications quickly became apparent. In Arizona, homeowner Maria Delgado used the constitutional engine to successfully challenge an eminent domain claim. Before this, I would have needed to spend $50,000 on lawyers I couldn't afford. With the AI system, I found 3 precedents that protected my property rights. A small business in Maine successfully navigated complex FDA regulations. A community group in Michigan identified procedural violations in a water quality permit. A disabled veteran in Georgia uncovered benefits he was entitled to but had been denied. Harvard law professor Rebecca Chen published an influential analysis. Barrett and Musk have inadvertently collaborated to create a new paradigm. Courts will continue setting legal boundaries, but technology now enables instant sophisticated analysis of those boundaries by ordinary citizens. She continued, throughout history, legal knowledge has been concentrated among elites, first clergy, then aristocracy, then professional legal classes. The constitutional engine represents the most significant democratization of legal knowledge since the printing press made legal texts widely available. 6 weeks after the confrontation, Musk testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Ted Cruz asked directly, "Mr. Musk, did you plan this response before Judge Barrett's ruling, or was this improvised?" Musk's response went viral. Neural systems always had contingency plans, but the specific response was designed after the ruling. The beautiful irony is that Judge Barrett's accidental fine created something neither of us planned: a more accessible legal system. Sometimes the best innovations come from constraints. Internationally, the European Union accelerated work on its own legal AI framework. China restricted information about the system, while India embraced it enthusiastically. Nations with developing legal systems showed particular interest, with Kenya becoming the first African nation to adopt a modified version. Applications for law school increased 34% nationwide, but the nature of legal education began shifting immediately. Top law schools rushed to integrate AI constitutional analysis into their curricula. As one viral law school applicant essay stated, Barrett tried to constrain technology with law. Musk responded by enhancing law with technology. "I want to be part of what comes next." For everyday Americans, the confrontation transcended specific legal questions. Opinion polls showed 67% believed the constitutional engine was good for democracy, while 22% worried about unelected technology making legal decisions. It represented a fundamental debate about authority in the digital age. 6 months later, the historical significance became clear. Barrett's accidental fine and Musk's response had fundamentally altered the relationship between law and technology. Government agencies increasingly collaborated. The constitutional AI research centers before issuing regulations. Congress began using the technology to identify potential constitutional issues before passing legislation. A Georgetown study found that in the first 6 months, over 1 million Americans had used the constitutional engine to address personal legal issues, with success rates far exceeding those of self-represented litigants before the technology existed. Barrett and Musk, initially cast as opponents, were increasingly viewed as unwitting collaborators who had triggered a profound modernization of America's legal infrastructure. The two finally met in person at a Constitution Day event hosted by the National Archives. The photograph of Barrett and Musk standing before the original Constitution, awkwardly but amicably shaking hands, became an iconic image, symbolizing the unexpected synthesis of tradition and innovation. Senator Cory Booker perhaps captured it best. Throughout our history, America's greatest strength has been turning adversarial encounters into unexpected progress. The accidental collision between Justice Barrett's constitutional principles and Elon Musk's technological vision may have given us the most significant advancement in constitutional accessibility since the founders first wrote "We the People." The accidental fine that started it all may eventually be remembered as one of the most consequential mistakes in American legal history, a collaboration that neither Barrett nor Musk planned, but that reshaped how Americans interact with their constitution and their government, proving once again that in the intersection of law and technology, the most powerful changes often come from unexpected places.